Epsilon is a tactical turn-based strategy game, and over the last 2 weeks I did some more AI work. So in the game's map editor you can add player and alien spawn points, which are basically locations that the player's squad or alien groups, say 2 or 3 aliens, could randomly be created. Having this said, I've added the ability to place patrol points, which are locations that the spawned AI will patrol on. So patrolling would work by going from one point to the other, and when reaching the end, going back in reverse order, and so on. However, one other case would be where it would go to the last point and then return to the first, forming a circle. The spawn point is treated as the first patrol point. So right now, the aliens will walk to the rightmost flag, go back to the spawn point, and so on. To make sure things work the way I expected them to, later on I added the paths as well to the editor. Due to how simple the editor saved maps are, basically just simple JSON, I'm calculating the order based on the distance to each other. These are also color coded, so for example, a yellow spawn point will need yellow flags, which are the patrol points. And as I stated earlier, patrol points can also form a loop. The way I specify this is by placing a spawn point onto the origin. The internet is full of guides on how to implement the AI, but this being a turn-based game and having groups of enemies patrolling poses some unique challenges, however. And one of these is that the aliens may not have enough time units to move from one point to the other in a single turn, or maybe they move very fast and can move more. So what I've done was to transform the points into a single list with all the walkable positions. And a nice side effect is that these are map aware, as they are using the walking pathfinding. So let's try things out. I'm going to place a spawn point and then the patrol points, and to make them visible in game, I'll just add some patches of grass onto them. This works fine, but having multiple units patrolling together is significantly more complex. First of all, you can't have more than one in a cell at a given time. Using the placement logic I touched upon in the last episode, I made the enemies not stop on these exact positions, but rather around them. And I think this makes the paths less noticeable to players. Also, enemies aren't clumped together and exposed to grenades. Though the players can move one cell at a time, the AI acts in 2 bigger moves, quite similar to the Neo XCOM games. To use a single state, what I've done was to have the AI units in a group move a single action to make sure everyone has caught up and only then move again. Another thing I want to touch on is returning to the patrol formation. So I have this path on the left of the map. The 2 units on the right are outside the patrol area. I coded the units present at the first patrol waypoint to wait for the others, and only when they are near do they begin to patrol. Having many enemies patrolling makes the AI turn take a very long time. Fixing this wasn't as simple as teleporting the units to their target location, however, because at the very least they should be facing the direction they're moving to. So I had to calculate the angle from the last cell before stopping, even though they haven't actually traveled through it. One other thing is that I wanted the player to hear the AI's footsteps when it's near, so it shouldn't just instant travel when it's close. My player is at the bottom of the map. Sorry if the HUD is covering it. An important AI property is memory. I built this map so you can see the problem. My soldier will spawn here and the enemy over here. and will patrol along this route. After moving, I can see the enemies and they can also see me. And then I'm breaking line of sight. I'm going to run a command to see the AI's movement. And you can see they're patrolling. But the moment they see me, they move to engage. But breaking line of sight again will make the AI forget about me and continue patrolling as if nothing has ever happened. An approach to fix this would be to grant the enemy some sort of lingering vision over the player. But I don't like the AI to cheat, so I went with creating an after image. Basically, keeping track of the location the player was seen at, that will be scored lower and lower by the AI until it ignores it completely. So after a few turns they will give up, regroup to the last patrol waypoint they were at, and then patrol normally. The last thing I worked on was adding some movement constraints for certain maps where the aliens should focus on defending. So my units will spawn at the bottom and the aliens will patrol alongside this area. I'll grant myself vision over the map. So the enemies patrol until they see me. And they'll try to flank and attack me. Their behavior is fine, if not just a bit too aggressive. I added a movement point whitelist that, if it's matching the spawn point, during a fight the enemies will only walk on these cells. Anyway, now the enemies will only walk on the points I've just placed in the editor. So this has been the progress I made in the last 2 weeks. I managed to get everything I set off to, and even had time for a full day ride on my bike before the weather will get too cold to ride. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.